The Star Wars world had a lot of buzz at the rumor of Kathleen Kennedy retiring in 2025. And although that turned out to be false, stated by Kathleen Kennedy herself in an interview by Deadline, it raised a lot of questions about eventual succession. When she does retire, what will happen? Who will the successions go to? Welcome back to Star Wars Rewind, where we go over the amazing past of Star Wars and important Star Wars news. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I think anyone who takes the head job at LucasFilm takes one of the toughest jobs in the entertainment industry, because it's such a juggernaut of a franchise and the best known IP in the world. And anyone who takes that seat will be scrutinized under a microscope. Now, Kathleen Kennedy has some great accomplishments in her lifetime as a producer. You can't ever take that away from her. And she even has wins in the Star Wars franchise under her belt. The biggest being The Mandalorian, although Season 3 fell way short with fans, even myself. Not really a fan of that season. Rogue One was a fan success, the critically acclaimed Andor, my favorite show. And most recently, The Acolyte. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. But that's a great transition into what didn't work under her tenure. There was a lot of politics introduced under her era into Star Wars, something that hurt the franchise and Lucasfilm. The Star Wars sequel trilogy was a bust and had no plan going into it, even if it does have a small fandom. And still to this day, I happen to love The Force Awakens. The others? Not in the slightest. And I think not having a plan for the story going into making the sequel trilogy was a huge mistake. One that would mark the biggest fault of the Kathleen Kennedy era. So, the next person to take the helm will not only have to course correct, but I believe that person must have a 10-year plan. A valid 10-year plan. And I think that person should work arm in arm with two of Star Wars' greatest power creators right now, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, with Dave being the creative heir apparent to George Lucas for the next era of Star Wars. Some people are touting for Dave Filoni to be the next head of Lucasfilm, but I think that would be a huge mistake. He was just made the creative director for all of Star Wars, and I think he needs to be in that position longer and course correct the creative path of Star Wars at a very base level. But here is who I think should be the president of Lucasfilm and succeeding Kathleen Kennedy: Jon Favreau. I think Jon understands how to run a studio after being in the industry for so long, with him being an artist himself. Now, does that make him super qualified? No. Just as qualified as Kathleen Kennedy? Yes. He can give Dave and other creators in the Star Wars universe the protection they need to develop stories. And I think that's what hurt Lucasfilm in the early onset of George's retirement: the lack of vision for planning the sequel trilogy. But with Jon, I think he would take that challenge on and make sure there is a plan. He already proved he can set a 10-year plan with the Avengers movies, and I think he will allow Dave to develop a creative 10-year plan for Star Wars, one that will align with the 10-year plan of Lucasfilm as a company. A mentor of mine once said, "Surround yourself with people that are smarter than you and more creative than you, and you're gonna succeed." And that's exactly what this new president of Lucasfilm needs to do. Whatever and whoever that may be, and I think it needs to be sooner than later. Kathleen is a great producer, but as a president of Lucasfilm, I think she ran her tenure, and now would be a great time to step down as the president, and I think she could still have a great career producing great movies still. And Disney, I'm available if you need me to fill those shoes. What do you think about Jon Favreau as the next president of Lucasfilm? And who do you think should be Kathleen Kennedy's successor, if not Jon? Let me know in the comments. And as always, thank you, my friends, and I will see you next time.